Good evening to all the CUET aspirants. So, here we are to discuss the questionnaire on reproductive biology of angiosperms. So, it is the questionnaire time. Let us get started with the first objective on the type of apomixis, the recent concept which is done. Very easy to answer, ma. Look at the question carefully and answer. The type of apomixis called as adventive embryony. Embryos develop directly from what type or what cells of the embryo sac? Take 1 minute of time and answer. Yeah, here we go. Adventive embryony is also called as sporophytic budding. It is also addressed as sporophytic budding, wherein the cells from the ovule, let us take an inverted ovule which is observed in most of the angiosperms, wherein if you consider this ovule, usually it is bitegmic. At the center embryo sac will be there, right. So, any of the cells, be it synergids or antipodals or nucellus or integuments, any of the cells inside the ovule, before the formation of embryo sac, what are the cells that are present? Nucellus cells inside the ovule, either nucellus cells or any of the cells from integument. They are getting differentiated directly into megaspore mother cell or to a megaspore which is diploid, is known as adventive embryony or sporophytic budding. So, the answer will be nucellus and integuments. In adventive embryony, any of the cells from nucellus or integuments, they will directly get differentiated into megaspore. That is how you will get diploid apomictic seeds. And then next question we will look into flowers with both androecium and gynoecium. Very simple. These are known as what, ma? Bisexual flowers. Next question you see. In angiosperms, regarding development of microgametophyte. What is microgametophyte? Pollen grain. Each microspore mother cell will undergo how many meiotic divisions or mitotic divisions? That is the question. Look into it and answer carefully. Easy to answer. One microspore mother cell is also addressed as pollen mother cell, is also addressed as spore mother cell, will undergo one reductional division or meiosis, and this forms 4 microspores, haploid, microspore, tetrad. Male gametophyte is pollen grain, microgametophyte is microspore. As such, 4 microspores are formed as a result of single meiosis, which is option 4. Clear? Next question. The 2 nuclei at the end of pollen tube are called as, 2 nuclei at the end of pollen tube are known as what? Easy question, ma. The nuclei are known as generative cell, tube cell and generative nucleus, tube nucleus and generative nucleus. These are the 2 nuclei which are formed at the end of pollen tube. Look into the theory also one. Tube nucleus and generative nucleus. As the pollen tube grows, it carries tube nucleus and generative nucleus, which later divides. This generative nucleus will later divide again into two male gametes, one of which will fuse with egg cell and the other fuses with polar nuclei. Yeah, this is from pollination. Answer carefully. Here we go. The phenomenon where transfer of pollen grains from the anthers to stigma of another flower of the same plant is referred to as what? It is referred to as geitonogamy, which is option 3. In cleistogamy, here the anthers will be dispersing pollen grains to the stigma of same flower, which shows autogamy. Whereas cynogamy, it is between flowers of two different plants, right? Yeah. Next question. Which of the following is most common type of embryo sac development? Recall, we have learnt about 3 patterns of embryo sac development: monosporic, bisporic and tetrasporic. Most common type. Easy to answer, ma, just go through and answer. Yeah, here we go with the answer. The most common type of embryo sac development will be polygonum type of embryo sac development, which is monosporic type. Allium is bisporic type of embryo sac development. Next. See, this is application based question, very important. A tetraploid female plant is crossed with diploid male plant. So, female plant, ploidy is tetraploid, it is crossed with male plant whose ploidy is diploid. Okay. What will be the number of chromosomes in endosperm of the progeny? So, here if you see female plant whose ploidy is tetraploid, as haploid gametes are involved during the time of fertilization. If the normal ploidy is tetraploid, the haploid form of this will be diploid, right? When it is crossed with haploid male gamete, okay. What will be the ploidy of egg and endosperm here? Egg ploidy will be haploid only, whereas polar nuclei ploidy will be diploid, yes or no? Okay, 2n plus 2n. Okay, normally from a diploid plant, the polar nuclei ploidy will be n plus n. Here the ploidy of the parent is tetraploid, so the polar nuclei ploid will be diploid plus diploid, that is tetraploid, 4n. Okay, when it is crossed with, okay, when polar nuclei is crossed with haploid male gamete, you will get pentaploid endosperm, that is 5n endosperm. Okay. What will be the number of chromosomes in the endosperm of the progeny? It is pentaploid. I hope you have understood this question. If you are having any doubts, you can ask me in the comment section. Okay. And the next question, if you see, hercogamy, which is one, the question is from outbreeding devices. Okay, the question is from outbreeding devices. Hercogamy is found in It is usually found in cotton, which includes spatial separation of anthers and stigma. Fine, right? And then next question. Arrest of mitosis at metaphase in diploid leads to what? Arrest of mitosis at metaphase in diploid cell leads to what ploidy? Okay. In metaphase, if you consider in a diploid cell, you will have complete set of chromosomes. Let us assume 2 sets of chromosomes are present, which is complete set of chromosomes. Okay. So, here when complete set of chromosomes are there in metaphase in a diploid cell, the ploidy of the cell will be tetraploid, yes or no? The ploidy of the cell will be tetraploid, or if this is not given, you can also choose polyploid, because karyokinesis is interrupted in between. This is not followed by cytokinesis, which leads to polyploid in condition. But here he has clearly mentioned out in which phase karyokinesis is being interrupted and what is the ploidy of the cells. Okay. So, you can easily identify it as tetraploid. Okay. Next question. Swollen placenta is found in what family? Swollen placenta is found in what families? The right answer will be Solanaceae and Acanthaceae. Look into the clear explanation. Both Solanaceae and Acanthaceae, both families can have swollen placenta associated with ovule or the seed arrangement in the ovary. Fine. That is the characteristic feature of those two families. Elateria cardamomum belongs to what class of angiosperms? Hint itself is given. I asked you what class of angiosperms. So, we can easily answer. The answer is very simple, it is monocot. Okay. This belongs to what? Monocot class of angiosperm. Simple. Next question. The ploidy level of endosperm in Fritillaria. What is the ploidy level? The ploidy level will be of what type? Answer. I could find no answers. Yeah. The answer is pentaploid, because Fritillaria shows what type of embryo sac development? Tetrasporic embryo sac development, wherein polar nuclei will be tetraploid, male gamete will be haploid, and then it will form pentaploid endosperm. Okay. The application we have solved recently in the previous question. Next question. Bisporic type of embryo sac development takes place in what examples? Like examples he has asked. Answer is very evident. Bisporic type of embryo sac development. Bisporic type is observed in allium. Okay. Polygonum, it is Oinothera, which shows monosporic type. Allium shows bisporic type. Fritillaria and pepper, Adoxa. These are the examples for tetrasporic type of embryo sac development. Next. The angiospermaceous species in which success has been achieved in raising haploid embryos for the first time. What are those angiospermic species wherein haploid embryos have raised for the first time? The experiments were performed by Guha Maheshwari for the first time. And what is the model organism? I have already given you the hint. For which question? Akhilesh? Yeah. First androgenic haploids were produced by Guha and Maheshwari in 1964 in Datura via anther culture. Okay. So, the answer will be Datura. Which one of the following is found inside the ovule? Inside the ovule, what is that found? Very simple. If you don't know the answer to pick out, you can use the elimination method also. No? If 1 is the option for 15th question, then it is no. Once rethink and answer. Which one of the following is found inside the ovule, inside the female reproductive structure? Endothecium, tapetum and microspores. These are the structures which belongs to microsporangium. Microsporangium. Where archisporium cells, these are the cells which are present inside the ovule. Okay. These are the cells which differentiate and form megaspore mother cell inside the ovule. Fine, right? So, the right answer will be option 4. Clear, right? Next question. Which one of the following is normally a self-pollinated crop? Very simple. I will give you a hint. This is underground, grows positively geotrophic. This grows positively geotrophic. Yeah, the answer is Arachis hypogea, that is groundnut, which grows positively geotrophic. As a result, it has geocarpic fruits, which means it has buds. Those are clistogamous flowers, where self-pollination is evident, compulsory in this self-pollination. Fine, right? Because they have clistogamous buds. Next, androgenic haploids are useful because very simple. Think and answer. Yes, you are right, ma. The answer is option 3. The right answer is option 3. They can be used to produce homozygous stalks. Let us look into the explanation also once. Chromosome doubling of haploid cells forms double haploid condition, which forms complete homozygous lines. This concept is very important in plant breeding. Next, embryo sac is located inside. Very simple question. Location or site of the embryo sac. Location or site of the embryo sac is inside the ovule, which is option 2. Inside ovule itself, right, embryo sac is located. Next question. I told you about unitegmic, bitegmic and ategmic ovules. Unitegmic ovules are characteristic features of what plants? Unitegmic ovules are characteristic features of what plants? You can see unitegmic ovules mostly in the monocots. bitegmic in the dicots. Next concept is about apospory in angiosperms was first reported by apospory. We have two types of apomixis. One is sporophytic budding and second will be recurrent agamospory, which is apospory. It is first reported by Gustafsson, who studied apomixis including apospory in flowering plants. Remember, the discovery is most important now. Inferior ovary with axile placentation is found in the family. This question is related to taxonomy of angiosperms, but then you can answer it is very simple. Inferior ovary with axile placentation. Observed in Cucurbitaceae. Inferior ovary with axile placentation is seen in Cucurbitaceae. Cucurbitaceae, the option will be 2. Okay. Next question. An apple fruit develops from which part of the flower? Exactly. Firstly, you answer whether apple fruit is a true fruit or false fruit. It is false fruit, right? Means along with ovary, some other part is contributing for fruit formation. What is that? Inferior ovary along with thalamus is contributing for the fruit formation in apple. Next, the special structure to facilitate entry of pollen tube into the ovules. What is that special structure known as? Which facilitates entry of pollen tube into the ovule. Very simple to answer. Very good. Right answer, which is option 3. That is obturator. That facilitates the entry of pollen tube into the ovule. Next question. The first few divisions of zygotes are vertical in. What is the right answer? Vertical divisions in zygote. Take your time and answer. The first few divisions of zygote are vertical in. The answer will be the answer will be capsula. Capsula brusa pastoris shows classical embryo development where early divisions are vertical, which leads to quadrant stage. Parasexuality was first reported by. Quite a few questions will be asked from discoveries area also from reproductive biology. So, I have inculcated those questions here. Parasexuality, I have taught it even in fungi. The right answer is Pontecorvo and Rupert are the scientists who first reported parasexuality. They discovered parasexual cycle in fungi, Aspergillus nidulans. In angiosperms, microsporogenesis and megasporogenesis will lead to what condition? Both microsporogenesis and megasporogenesis. Any of this option should be common for both of them. It should be common for both of them. Without divisions, though, they are not forming gametes, right? Involves meiosis, yes, in both of them meiosis is involved. Occurs in ovule. Microsporogenesis doesn't occur inside the ovule. Occurs in anther. Megasporogenesis doesn't occur in anther. So, what is the common point for both of them? Both for microsporogenesis and megasporogenesis, that involves meiosis, which is option 2. Next question. If the diploid number of a flowering plant is 36, what would be the chromosome number in the endosperm? Very simple question to be answered. The diploid chromosome number is 36. Then what will be the chromosome number of endosperm he is asking. Endosperm ploidy will be triploid. This is our question. First you have to know what will be the haploid number of this flowering plant. If diploid number is 36, then haploid number will be 18, right? Endosperm is n plus n plus n condition, which is 18 plus 18 plus 18. And the right answer will be 54. Clear? Any doubts anywhere? The right answer is 3. I hope you have got it right. Yeah. Next question. An area between base of the coleoptile and origin of the scutellum is known as what? Base of the coleoptile and origin of scutellum. Hypocotyle is at the base, which leads to the formation of radicle. Epicotyle is at the tip, which leads to the formation of plumule. Pseudocotyle, it will not be there. Then the right answer will be what? Mesocotyle. Look at the explanation. In grasses, mesocotyle is the internode between scutellar node and the base of the coleoptile, and this helps to push the shoot tip upwards during germination. Clear, right? Next question. In which of the following dispersal of seed occurs through air? That means which of the following will conduct wind pollination? Very simple question. Wind pollination is done in. The right answer will be Calotropis gigantea, which is option 4. Calotropis seeds have a tuft of silky hair, making them wind dispersed easily. Coconut is water dispersed, rice and apple are not primarily wind dispersed. Okay. Unisexual flowers are found in which family? Unisexual means dioecious flowers also you can consider. Unisexual or dioecious. Which family you will see? It is observed in Euphorbiaceae, which commonly bears unisexual flowers. For example, Ricinus and Euphorbia. Poaceae flowers are usually bisexual with some exceptions, but unisexual family is classically of Euphorbiaceae only. Next. When both basal and terminal cells contribute to the formation of embryo, that pattern of development is known as what? We have learnt whole lot of embryo pattern of developments where terminal cell will involve in the embryo octant formation, that is the normal type. In few of the types basal cell is involving, in few of the types both the cells are involved in embryo octant formation. So here he is asking you about the type where both basal and terminal cells will contribute in the formation of embryo. What is that type? It is option 2, which is solanate type of embryo sac development. So, embryo development. It is solanate type of embryo development, wherein in solanate type of embryogeny, both basal and terminal cells will contribute to the embryo body. Okay. Here, next question is about fruit dispersal. Dispersal of fruits in Martinia and Urina takes place by what? What is the mode of dispersal of fruits in these plants? It is by animals. Both produced hooked and buried fruits that attach to animal fur and clothing. This is epizoochory. Mode is epizoochory. Parietal placentation is found in which family? Basic question. Parietal placentation is found in which family? Very simple to answer. It is found in Cucurbitaceae and Papaveraceae. Let us also know about the placentations of other family. Parietal placentation is typically of Cucurbitaceae and Papaveraceae. Rubiaceae commonly shows axial placentation, please note it. Asteraceae has basal placentation. Apocynaceae shows marginal and axial placentation. Clear? Next. Plants which flower only once in their life are termed as what? Plants which flower only once in their lifetime. They are known as monocarpic plants or monocarpic flowers. Monocarpic plant flowers or fruits only once and then die. Examples you can take is bamboo and agave. Polycarpic flowers multiple times. Next question. For good growth of pollen tube, necessary element. This is from essential elements. Even in vitro culture of pollen tube growth, in vitro pollen tube growth, we will be using boric acid. Here is the hint. The right answer is option 2, which is boron. Next question. If the cells of nucellus or integument directly form the embryo, the phenomenon is known as what? The question is repeated in a different form. You can easily answer. And the question is from the concept of apomixis. Okay, so this is known as adventive embryony. If at all in the option, instead of adventive embryony, if sporophytic budding is also given, then you can go for it. Fine. Next question. Tetrasporic embryo sac development is found in tetrasporic embryo sac development. We have learned about 3 types, right? Monosporic, bisporic, tetrasporic. Polygonomonothera, monosporic type of embryo sac development. Pepper is the right example for tetrasporic. Next question. The part of castor. Yes, you are right. Next question you look into, ma. The part of the castor seed that yields oil. Which part of the castor seed yields oil? Very simple. Castor is the only dicot seed which has endosperm. The hint is already given. Now we can answer it easily. Part of castor yields oil is endosperm. From endosperm, castor oil is taken. Synergidous condition is characteristic of which family? Synergidous condition. Easy to answer. Just go through. The right answer is Orchidaceae, and here we go with the explanation. In Orchidaceae, the embryo sac often shows special modifications and is classically cited in the question banks for synergid dominant or synergidous conditions, where synergids are prominent and may be persistent, perform strong guidance and nutritive roles in the pollen tube entry. That is the reason in Orchidaceae, synergidous condition is observed. Next, which of the following kinds of ovules? The embryo sac is horseshoe shaped. Embryo sac is horseshoe shaped. Easy. The right answer will be option 4. Fine, right. Here we go. In Amphitropous ovule, the ovule as well as the answer is Amphitropous, which is option 3. In Amphitropous ovule, the ovule as well as embryo sac is curved, which is into horseshoe shaped. Sarcinotropous, where the complete ovule is revolved to 360 degrees. Orthotropous will be a straight ovule with where chalaza, funicle and micropyle will be in the straight line. Hemianotropous, where embryo sac is at the right angle to the funicle. Observed in Ranunculaceae. Hemianotropous example is Ranunculaceae family. One nucleus of pollen tube and secondary nucleus of ovum grows in two. This question is wrongly interpreted. Look at this question. Pollination by the agency of water in submerged plants is called as. By the agency of water in submerged plants. Water pollination is done in two ways, epihydrophilia and hypohydrophilia. If it is through water, that too in the submerged plants, what is that? Hypohydrophilia. Observed in Zoostera, example seagrass. In Angiosperms, one of the male gametes fuses with egg cell and the other fuses with the ploidy of secondary nucleus. Easy. Waiting for the answer. Yeah, no, the right answer is option 3, which is diploid secondary nucleus. Next. Plants which flower only once in their lifetime, monocarpic flowers. The answer is very evident, that is option 3, monocarpic flowers. In which part of the wheat grain the food is stored? Simple question, in which part of the wheat grain food is stored? The right answer is option 2, which is endosperm. Wheat is a caryopsis. The main reserve food, starch, is stored in endosperm. The embryo or scutellum absorbs it during germination. Okay. The stalk of datura flower at its base is known as stalk of datura flower. Stalk of any flower is known as pedicel. Pedicel is the stalk. Peduncle will hold all the pedicels in the inflorescence. In which of the following types of embryo sacs antipodal cells are absent? In what type antipodal cells are absent? Simple and easy to answer. Antipodal cells will be absent in Inothera type, which is option 3. Let us go through the other options also. Inothera type embryo sac is typically 4 nucleate and antipodals are absent here. Polygonum type is common in 8 nucleate embryo sac with 3 antipodals. Next is about double fertilization is found in. The answer is very clear, double fertilization occurs only in angiosperms. Next, plants with latex and unicellular flowers are found in. Both with latex and unicellular flowers. Think and answer. Option is 1, where euphorbiaceae is the answer, which is commonly shows milky latex and unisexual flowers. Example, resinus and euphorbiaceae. Look at the next question. The most durable organic matter which has helped in the preservation of fossil spores and pollen grains is clear. The answer is crystal clear. Which is the main component of pollen grain which helps to preserve pollen grains across the year, which is unaffected by any temperature conditions, which is unaffected by any chemical. It is option 2, that is sporopollenin, which is a major component of the outermost wall layer of the pollen grain, right, which is option 2. Next, what is the function of filiform apparatus? What is the function of filiform apparatus? The main function of filiform apparatus which are present in the synergid cells is to guide the entry of pollen tube into the embryo sac, which is option 1 here. Next question. Which of the following plant species are polyploid? In which plant species you will see polyploid condition? The right answer will be option 4, which is Triticum aestivum and Gossypium hirsutum. Triticum aestivum, ploidy is hexaploid. Gossypium hirsutum, the ploidy will be tetraploid. Both are the classic polyploidy crops. Next, pollination by ants is known as what? Pollination by ants is known as myrmecophily, ornithophily where pollination by birds, chiroptero by bats, malacophily the pollination by snails. Remember, all the terms are important. Next, entomophily by insects. Which is the correct for Adoxa type of embryo sac? Adoxa type of embryo sac development will be bisporic embryo sac development, bisporic 8 nucleated. Okay, Adoxa embryo sac develops from 2 megaspore nucleus and forms 8 nuclei. Okay, last question of today's session. Which one condition is responsible for double fertilization? For double fertilization, what is the condition that is required? What is the main condition that you will see? Double fertilization or triple fusion, where one male gamete fertilizes with the egg cell and other male gamete will fertilize with secondary nucleus, which is option 1. One male gamete fertilizes with egg, another male gamete with secondary nucleus, which is option 1. With this, the complete objective session is done. In our next class, we will start with cell biology, okay, and later we will move on to taxonomy of angiosperms. Let us first complete the applied biology concepts, okay. Yeah, that's all for today's session, ma. Thank you.